Y'all, how you going? Welcome back to the channel. We are having a chill video right now. I'm pretty excited for this. I've done this before a long time ago, and they usually did pretty well. This is going to be a fun one. I would actually like to toss around the idea of maybe even streaming something like this sometime soon, so let me know if you would like to do that. We're just going to be chilling, looking at cars in Australia, okay? Now, I would like to do this in different countries as well. I delved into this a little bit here and there, so but I would like to expand upon it. But anywho, we're just going to take a look. This is carsales.au. This is like a pretty reliable, just overall source for finding a lot of different things. I've heard from a lot of different people. So let's just have fun, check out some cars. Again, I'm looking for a lot of things that I won't recognize. And then, of course, maybe different versions of cars and, what's out there, like, for prices and things like that. Let's just take a look and have fun. Oh, and one thing to note is this is the first video featuring my new webcam. I got a really upgraded webcam. I've been using a really old, cheap one for quite a while, since last year. And this one is, better, right? It has better specs, so I hope it looks better. Oh yeah, make sure and enjoy that. I think it looks a lot better, at least from what I can tell. Alrighty, so here we are. We're gonna look at some random things. I'm gonna start by, let's see. Let's take a look first. Cars under 10K. Let's look at some really cheapy. So yeah, let's see what we have for cheap cars here. What are they? How old are they? That type of thing. First one that shows up is a manual, so I like it already. Actually, I really don't like the car. It's a Nissan Micra. We don't even have these in the U.S. We do have small Nissans, but they're not quite that small. I think that's even smaller than what we would have. But it is a manual, so that's pretty cool. It's a 1.2 liter petrol, 3-cylinder. Just under 10K. Yeah, I wouldn't go for this, but I mean, if you don't need a big car, I'm sure this is amazing on fuel. And, it's a good car for a city, right? That it's a crowded city. Out in the suburbs or out in, country, rural areas, this would not be a good car. But now this isn't a surprise. You see this sharp looking Mercedes, it looks good, right? But that's the thing, the luxury cars are weird. Even, I think that goes for anywhere. I mean, it's definitely here in the U.S. as well, where the luxury cars that were $100,000 brand new, it's 10 years later, they're worthless, right? They're just not worth a lot of money. They have such a sharp downward percentage loss, right, on the price, whereas some cars hold their value. This is weird. See, this is why I did this video. This is why we do this. What is this? You guys have so many choices with cars and automakers, manufacturers. This is a SsangYong Acteon XDI manual 4x4. Let's take a look. This is only $7,900. It's from 2010, so it's still a newer era car. It's not that old. Oh my God, I almost like it. It's so goofy looking that I kind of like it. I tend to like goofy stuff. It's not pretty. It's not beautiful design. It is. Let's get real. It's kind of atrocious, but. It's almost so crazy that it works, if that makes sense. It's got a Tasmania plate. That's pretty cool, huh? Look at it. I mean, it's a good shape, though. A lot of these, or most of these probably, won't have rust, which I just admire because, of course, there's places in the U.S. that don't rust either. But up north, unfortunately, you tend to get a lot of rusty cars, and it just sucks, right? So this one looks like it's in decent shape. The back end is actually kind of cool. I think the side profile is bad. I think the front is ugly. But like I said, it's kind of quirky. I like it. But the back is actually all right. I don't know. It's kind of cool. It's jacked up a little bit. It's got the mud flaps. It's almost like a rally look. Now these red, I don't know if these are just markers or reflectors. They look pretty bad. It would almost look better if those weren't there. But the brake lights are fine. I like this hatchback. It's got the rear wiper. It's kind of cool looking in back. Got your standard 5-spoke rims, nothing special there. Definitely a different name. That is not a brand that we have in the U.S. I can safely say that. I do like driver-oriented dashes like this where it's slightly angled towards the driver. Of course, it's right-hand drive, which you would expect. Yeah, kilometers per hour. I mean, basic gauges are kind of cool, though. 192,000 kms. That's C. That would be, once you get into thousands, it's hard for me to convert off the top of my head. I'm assuming that'd be a decent amount of mileage, right? Oh, and I didn't even notice, if this thing is correct, it's a turbo diesel. So there you go. That's a weird car. It might be a piece of crap, or maybe these are good value. You got to let me know what you think of these down below. What's your experience? Then we have some other run-of-the-mill things. Like you would see these all over the U.S. A Mazda CX-7. Mazdas, yeah, a lot of Mazdas are cheap, used. Kias, of course, right? Kia Sportage. See those all over the U.S. This is, now, of course, this is a manual. That's really cool. You can get those in manuals here, but they're on the more rare side. Now, this is a Ford Falcon. Here we go. See, now I like seeing the Aussie icons, right? 2011 Ford Falcon. Of course, it's not like a crazy one, you know, like a Turbo Barra, and it's all decked out. It's just a basic one, right? But it's pretty cool. These always crack me up. The Holden Cruise. Chevy Cruises are fairly popular here in the U.S., and there's a Holden Cruise. Literally the same car. Nothing looks different except the grille, right? Just slightly more chrome right here, and it says Holden, whereas this would be a little more black, and it would, of course, have a bow tie, the Chevy bow tie. So now you guys get Citroen. That's cool, right? Very European. As you know, I'm very fascinated by that brand, and I'm learning a lot more about those, and we missed out. These are just an unbelievably rare sight. This is not, you know, we don't have these really at all in the U.S. So cool that even Australia has those, though. And they're always very bizarre looking, right? But I dig Citroens. They're pretty cool. Jeep Patriot, made in Belvedere. That cracks me up. I probably was near this car at some point. They weren't my thing, and they definitely were not Jeep's best product, right? At least the Wranglers are very tough and have a good reputation. You know, and some of the other models are decent. Some of them, like these, they're just cheap, right? They're nothing special. They seem okay, but yeah, nothing to write home about. I actually kind of like this car, the Suzuki Swift Sport Manual. I think this would be a fun daily driver, right? I wonder if it's roomy inside. If it's roomy inside, this would be kind of cool. And then this is something I've never seen. I've seen a lot of Holdens, right? You guys have educated me a lot. You know, I've grown to love the brand Holden, but this is something I'm not familiar with. We're not looking at Commodore or Monaro here. No, sirree. We're looking at a Holden Barina TK manual. At least it's a manual. Makes it a little bit cooler. Let's take a look at this thing. I mean, it's kind of interesting with the red, the bright red, and the yellow New South Wales plate. It's kind of a cool contrast, right? I used to see that contrast all the time in New Mexico. They have 3 different plates standard. You get to pick them, and one of them is a yellow plate with like red. And so a lot of people had red cars with the yellow. It's kind of cool, right? I also love how it's blacked out there, and then you can see it clear as day in the next one. This thing is small. I'm assuming, I mean, it's cool that's a stick shift though, but I'm assuming this isn't like a straight up Holden product. This is probably like a reskinned something else, you know, maybe like I don't know, GM used to partner with a lot of people. Maybe it's like some sort of Korean car underneath, or some other random, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just going to assume this is like a collab, like almost like a Chevy Spark isn't like a real Chevy from the ground up, right? I think it's like a Daihatsu or something. Wow, and we have a Holden Captiva with a big old guard in the front. Interesting. Now, what's cool is we had something called the Chevy Captiva. Again, kind of a cheap, you know, not the best quality, just kind of a cheap to, you know, get in, smaller SUV. Nothing really special about it. Now, you're hard-pressed to find one with one of these on the front. But what you're really hard-pressed to find is a diesel. I don't believe they offered a diesel. I'm like 99% sure you could not get a Chevy Captiva with a diesel. They were just some cheap little gas engine. But this is kind of cool that you could get one of these with a turbo diesel. So, again, other markets get so much more engine options. That makes that car a little bit cooler, right? Here it would just be a boring car. Turbo diesel? Okay. That's a kind of interesting. Then we have a Mitsubishi Express. Wow, we certainly did not get these, although people are very much in droves importing a lot of old, you know, JDM vehicles, of course. This would have been still too new. I think the 25-year rule in the U.S. can import from anywhere, so that would put us at what, like a 1998 model year is the newest we could import. But you are seeing, I've seen vans like this in the U.S. on the road fairly often. But of course they weren't sold here, so they're not technically, they technically weren't available here. But that's cool. I think you guys straight up had them in Australia, so much more common sight. And I kind of dig them. They're kind of weird, right? And I love how they're manual and just like so open inside. They're pretty cool. Nissan Pathfinder, Ford Capri. These were called, were these the Mercury Capri? No, they were the Mercure, I think. Ford did some weird things in the U.S. where, like, you had Ford, Lincoln, Mercury, okay? That was all under the Ford umbrella. But then I think they had another brand called Mercure, not Mercury, Mercure. How confusing, right? That you had Mercure and Mercury under the same umbrella. And I think this would have been the Mercure model here. Yeah, because it definitely didn't have a Ford badge. These are rare, but you see these in the U.S. sometimes. And the USDM one was just not, it looked just like this. Same even down to the rims or wheel covers. But it didn't have a Ford logo. I think it was a Mercure. Again, don't know why they did that. I don't know. Let's see what it says when we click on Tradie. Does it come up with like Tradie cars? So it has like reviews of newer vehicles you would want to purchase. I mean, you guys get everything. It's cool. Look at these Volkswagen. These are like straight up Euro type box trucks, and you even get the little vans, which we get those, but you get more makers. Like that's a Peugeot. We don't get those, right? Of course, the VW Amarok. I'm well aware of that truck. I do know someone that has one of those locally, but of course they do not sell those here. So that's a secret how they have one. But yeah, the Amarok is cool. We don't get that technically in the U.S. Wow, interesting. When I clicked on new cars, at 2023, this is a brand new Skoda Superb. This thing is 64 grand. Wow. I mean, I think these are cool. As you know, I've really grown to love Skoda, and I think this is a sharp vehicle. Like, how cool is it to have a sleek wagon like that? But boy, 64 grand Australian, that is, I feel like that's pricey. I don't know, just throwing that out there. Now I clicked on Subaru. I like Subaru, and we do have a newer Subaru. I mean, I still say it's new. It's not new anymore. It's over a year old, but I wanted to see, I don't think you guys have the same models. You have mostly the same models, like the WRX. But then, like, look at this, Subaru Liberty. We don't have a Subaru Liberty. So what is this? This is like, I mean, it looks like a Subaru Outback, right? I don't know. What's the difference between the Subaru Liberty and like a Subaru Outback? Because it's not as tall as the Forester. You guys clearly have the Forester, which we have. This vehicle here, the XV, is this is called the Subaru Crosstrek. These are like insanely popular in the US. Like, these are literally, you go to a stoplight at a major intersection, these are like at every intersection. These are so popular. That's weird that it's not called a Crosstrek there, because yeah, it would say Crosstrek over here, Subaru Crosstrek. It's just called the XV there in Australia. That's different. I wonder why. Like, sometimes it makes you wonder, right? Like, why do they have different names in different regions? But yeah, I'm seeing mostly familiar. I mean, yeah, Subaru XV is the only different one, and then the Subaru Liberty. Of course, you guys have Outbacks, right? I would hope. So it's named after, literally Australia, the Outback. What a fitting car to have in Australia, right? I do like the Outbacks too. But we went with the Subaru Ascent, which is just slightly bigger than the Outback. And it's built on the same, car, same platform. It's just slightly taller and has a third row. Granted, it's pretty small in that third row, but yeah, that is, I'm not seeing the Subaru Ascent, so maybe you guys don't get that? Kind of shocked. I feel like you guys, of course, like SUVs and stuff to some degree in Australia, right? You guys have big open land, and of course, people with families. I'm just surprised at the, maybe is the Subaru Liberty. Here's one, and it's like, is it that maybe that's the Subaru Legacy? Because in the U.S., you have the Subaru Outback as a wagon, and the Subaru Legacy is like the sedan that's bigger than the Impreza. And yeah, maybe that's what the Liberty is. Again, I wonder why the name changed. What's it say when it says bus? Let's see what car sales is talking about here. Oh my God, how crazy! A Toyota HiAce or Hiace. I wonder how that's pronounced. HiAce or Hiace. That's my guess. Commuter super long wheelbase auto. 2.8 liter 4-cylinder turbo diesel. Oh, I freaking love it. Some of you are probably like, what? And like even most people I know would be like, Ian, like, what? That thing is goofy as hell, right? I like goofy vehicles. Look at this thing. Oh my God, he could take so many people. It is like a bus. Wow. It even has a fire extinguisher in back. Oh, that thing is cool. And it's got the turbo diesel. Look at that thing. I dig it. We do not have that. We do not have this model in the U.S. Nope. Just the Toyota Sienna, which is a minivan. This is actually a full-on van. Let's see what else. Oh my God, there's an older one. Look at how dorky it is. These things aren't cheap. These are kind of pricey. Even this older one is 33 grand. This is a 07. Oh, most of these are Toyotas, or maybe even all of them. No, here's a Ford Transit. Now we have the Ford Transits, but they're usually almost exclusively cargo vans. You can get a Ford Transit passenger van, which would basically be a newer version of this. We didn't quite have them in 05. I think they arrived in like 07, 08, 09, around there. And the Euro vans, now we have them, from tons of different manufacturers. But yeah, that's kind of cool, that body style. I've never seen this exact body style. But most people don't opt for the passenger vans. The cargo vans in passenger van form. They stick with the minivans mostly. There's a Renault. That's interesting. Look at that. Straight up Euro van. Yeah, we don't get that either. Wow, these are so interesting. I wonder what it said or what it was going to show when it had a category called bus. I'm like, what? So if that's bus, what is people mover? Let me see. Is that going to be what we call minivans? Yeah. What the hell is this? LDV MIFA 9 Lux. What in the world? Look at how expensive this thing is. Oh my goodness. I don't even know what it is. What on earth? Anyone know anything about this? Look at that thing. It's like a futuristic, I'm going to guess it's an EV. It's like a futuristic luxury minivan. It is electric. Wow, what the? Yeah, Kia Carnival. Oh, that's a weird Nissan. Dang. So yeah, most of these are similar though. Volkswagen, yeah. Multivan. A lot of Kia Carnivals. Wow. Almost all Kia Carnivals. Okay, you do have the Honda Odyssey. You don't have the Caravan? God, the Caravan has always been the best-selling minivan. Like, no one's ever defeated it here in the States. Everyone who's anyone has had a Caravan at some point. Okay, now I'm really confused. We have buses, right? Then we had people movers. Now we have van. What is this going to show? This is going to show the cargo vans. Okay, that makes sense. Look at that. Whoa. There's a van with a hood that opens like that? It's kind of interesting. And then finally, cab chassis. I knew this was going to come up with some cool stuff. Again, these are extreme. I got to admit, these are kind of overpriced, right? 96 grand for this is, oof, that seems ridiculous. Maybe this is accurate. I'm not sure. You can share your opinions. If you disagree, that's fine. But I do drool over these. I mean, I love the nature of this thing. I have whole videos on this. But everything, down to the steelies, the design of this thing, it's so rugged. It's so utilitarian. It's so old school. The fact that 2023 and it looks like this doesn't like compute in my head. We just don't get anything on the market like this. That's so retro like this and so like just built to work, right? I love it. It's so cool. And yeah, we just don't get it. Ford Ranger, of course, we do have those. Nissan Navara, kind of like our Nissan Frontier. So yeah, very similar to our Nissan Frontier. But you guys get, like you don't see those used as work trucks so much though. Here, people typically go for the bigger trucks for that. But this one's cool, like the way it's kitted out, right? With that front, that whole tough like ranch style bumper, and then you have this bar here, the flatbed. I like it. It's cool to see, right? Look at that beautiful Land Cruiser. Wow. Yeah, and then the Isuzu D-Maxes, those are cool. We don't have those. Mazda BT50, we don't have any Mazda trucks. Yeah, that is cool. I mean, I really like these. Holden, Colorado. Of course, Chevy, Colorado, we do have those. Mitsubishi Triton. Like, I love these kind of trucks. This section here is where this is where I gravitate towards. Even this Amarok in like a totally tradey trim, right? Like, I love it. These are just so cool. Like this one. Look at this thing. What, like, oh my God. I love it, dude. You just don't see trucks done up like this here. I wonder why. Why? It's you guys have awesome Ute culture there, right? It's just so cool. Anywho, that's going to do it for this one, guys. I can't wait to see you down in the comments. I hope you enjoyed that, just hanging out, looking at some interesting vehicles and seeing my, like, kind of joy, confusion, fascination all mixed in to some interesting vehicles for sale in Australia. Australia is a pretty mythical place when it comes to cars, Australia and New Zealand. You guys just have so many interesting mixes of vehicles, tons of manufacturers. It's cool, right? I love your style when it comes to vehicles, and it is different than here in the U.S., that's for sure. Throw a like on there if you did have a great time, and of course, subscribe to be part of this amazing community we do have here. That's about it for this one, guys. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker, and until next time, y'all. Catch you later.